The claim that Patsy Cline lived a double life for 30 years and no one knew until now is not supported by historical fact, but rather comes from modern sensational storytelling that tends to reshape the lives of classic stars into dramatic narratives. In reality, Patsy Cline's life was not a hidden mystery of two identities, but a very human story of talent, pressure, struggle, and extraordinary success packed into a tragically short lifespan of just 30 years. Patsy Cline became one of the most influential voices in country music during the late 1950s and early 1960s. Her rise to fame was rapid and groundbreaking, especially for a woman in a male-dominated industry. With songs like Crazy, I Fall to Pieces, and Walking After Midnight, she bridged country and pop music in a way that changed the direction of the genre. Her voice was powerful yet deeply emotional, and it created an image of confidence and control that fans still admire today. On stage and in recordings, Cline often appeared composed, glamorous, and emotionally expressive in a controlled way. This public image is sometimes what leads to the idea of a double life, as if there was a hidden second version of her that contradicted what audiences saw. However, there is no evidence of any secret identity or concealed life. Instead, what existed was the natural difference between a performer's public presentation and their private experiences. Behind her success, Patsy Cline faced many challenges that were common for performers of her era but still deeply impactful. She grew up in modest circumstances and had to work extremely hard to build a career in music. The industry at the time was demanding, often requiring constant touring, long studio sessions, and intense competition for radio play and chart success. These pressures could be exhausting, especially for young artists trying to establish themselves. Her personal life also included significant emotional strain. She experienced complicated relationships and was married twice, with her second marriage occurring during the height of her fame. Balancing family responsibilities with a fast-moving career was not easy, and she often had to make difficult choices between time at home and time on the road. These are the kinds of real-life tensions that sometimes get reinterpreted later as hidden struggles, even though they were part of her known biography. Another factor that contributes to the double life narrative is the emotional depth of her singing. Patsy Cline had an extraordinary ability to convey heartbreak, longing, and vulnerability in her voice. Because her performances felt so personal, listeners sometimes assume they reflect a secret emotional life or hidden pain. In reality, this was her artistic skill. She could interpret songs in a way that made them feel lived in and authentic, even when they were not direct reflections of her personal circumstances. It is also important to understand how stories about famous figures evolve over time. Because Patsy Cline died in a plane crash in 1963 at only 30 years old, her life was cut short at the peak of her fame. This early death often leads to mythologizing, where real details are blended with speculation and dramatic interpretation. Over time, these retellings can become more emotional or exaggerated than the historical record actually supports. The idea that new information has revealed a hidden double life is especially misleading. Biographies, interviews, and historical records about Patsy Cline have been available for decades. While new perspectives may emerge over time, they do not reveal a secret second identity. Instead, they revisit known facts and sometimes reframe them in more dramatic language to attract attention in modern media. What is truly remarkable about Patsy Cline is not secrecy, but authenticity. She worked in a challenging industry, broke barriers for women in country music, and left behind a body of work that continues to influence artists today. Her songs remain powerful because they capture emotion so clearly, not because they were part of a hidden life, but because she had the rare ability to make listeners feel every word she sang. So when we step away from sensational headlines, the real story becomes clearer. Patsy Cline did not live a literal double life. She lived a demanding, emotionally rich, and highly public life as a pioneering musician, while also navigating the private realities that come with fame, relationships, and personal growth. The contrast between those two worlds is not a secret. It is simply the human experience of a performer under extraordinary circumstances. Her legacy is not defined by hidden truths being exposed until now, but by the lasting impact of her voice, her artistry, and the path she paved for future generations of singers.